Hello, 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 beautiful people. It is great to be back with you. I am excited to talk through and kind of continue what we started talking about last week was upskilling as we think about the job market and all the shifts that are happening. So if you want to hear more about that upskilling and get yourself some new information or just a perspective shift on how you can upskill in order to create a more competitive position for yourself in this current job market, you're in the right place. I'm Leah Murphy. I am the CEO of Career Jumps for the Journey, where we help talented professionals build thriving careers. For those of you who have been with us for a while, it is great to have you back. And then for those who are new and just joining us, I'm excited to have you. If you are with me live, and that we are streaming live to LinkedIn as well as to YouTube. So if you're with me live, please do take advantage and drop your city in the chat. I love to shout out those who are with us, who are taking the time out of their busy schedule, maybe on their lunch break, maybe on their walk, maybe on their while they're working, and you're taking the time to join us live. I appreciate you being here. And if you're watching us on the replay or listening on the replay, I love that for me. I also love that for you. Because the replay has been really doing great things. So excited for folks who are participating there. So drop your city in the chat. I did learn that certain platforms, when you're streaming live, will stifle the comments. So now I have a couple of the platforms that we're streaming to up here in the background on another screen. So you guys will see me toggle back and forth. If you're watching me closely and you're watching the live, you'll see my eyeballs move back and forth so that I can get to the other platforms and get to your comments. So drop your city in the chat if you're with me live. I'm going to quickly recap what we started talking about last week. Last week, we were talking about myth busting. And if you've ever seen that show on the Discovery Channel, I'm a big fan of myth busting. And myth busting for careers was really starting with this idea that there's no such thing as job security. So I think a lot of us know that kind of intrinsically. We're not secure in our jobs, and there is nowhere that we could go necessarily to have job security. Ultimately, what that pushes us towards, and what I'm hoping to push us towards, is if you can't feel secure in your job because of the company's choices, you can feel secure in your career for choices that you make intentionally to set yourself up to be successful. So if there's no security, depending on the industry that you work in, and I shouldn't say if, there is no security based on the industry you work in or what part of the country you work in, if you're in the United States, or even what part of the world, as we really, keep it 100, right? If we're honest with what's happening. But there is security when you have a valuable skill set, because that skill set is then transferable to other organizations. So when I really try to encourage folks to think about their career, I try to encourage them to think about it in the context of your career is an ever evolving, ever changing path. It'll be agnostic of the organization that you work for today if you're doing it right. Because the organization can change, but you can also change and add value and land where you want to land. Whether that's another role in another organization, whether that's following a path of entrepreneurship, whether that's going into board leadership and everything in between. So I really encourage us to think about your career as something that is dynamic, something that is ever evolving, and that the way you create security for yourself is to have a skill set that is valuable and transferable. So 2 parts, valuable and transferable. So when I'm talking about upskilling and really encouraging folks to participate in upskilling actively, thinking through how they can continue to build skills in their career, I am thinking about it in soft skills and in hard skills. So a lot of times I'll have people tap me or reach out to me and say, I'm thinking about getting another degree. I'm thinking about going back to school. And I think that there's a very relevant reason for some folks to go back to school to further their education. I support that. I support it if it is done strategically and with a clear intention. An example of when I think it is a great idea to go back to school is when you're making a significant career pivot. You want to change industries, you want to change departments and functions, you want to add on a completely different skill set that there's no way you could have gotten through work or through experience. That's when it's a great time to use education as a tool to make that pivot, because honestly, there's still a lot of organizations that are very traditional and they still do require certain educational experiences in order for you to get access to roles and opportunities. Then there are companies and organizations that are a lot more fluid and are more on the cutting edge of wanting to bring talent into their organization, and the educational aspect is less of a priority because they're focused on experience. They're also focused on transferable skills, and they're also focused on specific problems that they need your help solving. So most of that really comes from the core values of that organization, though. And the only way that you'll find that out is for you to explore individual organizations. Is there a requirement for this organization that I have some specific education? The other area of upskilling, which we started talking about last week, and I kind of brought it into the Triumph in the Trenches anthology. I thought that I was going to get through alive without mentioning that? No way. So the Triumph in the Trenches, Navigating Success for Black Professionals is the anthology that I've participated in. I've talked about it on here a number of different times. But the thing that binds this together, this upskilling idea with that concept and the work that I was able to produce and my co-authors were able to produce really helps to remind us that the organization is going to constantly do what's in its best interest. And if you can focus on doing what's in your best interest, that sets you up to have security. And thinking that organizations, companies, nonprofit organizations, you name it, have any security sometimes in their own organizations is just not true. But when I've seen people have careers that are robust, that are long, that are profitable, that continue to allow them to grow, it's because they went and did the extra work of upskilling or developing skills in critical areas where organizations are looking to bring in the best and the brightest, or when organizations are in a difficult position and they're in a turnaround spot and they need someone to come in who can lead their organization or turn them around in a really impactful and significant way. So the reason why I wanted to make sure we think about this right now is in the year 2024, there are so many functions and so many sectors of the economy that are shrinking and some that are growing. And as you are preparing yourself to transition or to look on the horizon for the next 2 to 5 years in the work that you're going to do to help to give yourself an advantage and create security for yourself if you decide to continue to work for organizations, upskilling is the way to go about it. And some of that is formal education, as I talked about earlier, but some of it is not formal education. Last week, we talked about upskilling by getting a better understanding of your profit and loss. So, and when I say profit and loss, the company you work for makes a profit. The company you work for absolutely takes losses and loses money. So as you understand what the profit and loss is for the company that you work for and all of those levers and triggers, you get a better understanding of what's important to that company. Oftentimes, the most important thing for organizations is to understand how they make money. So they make money selling something to someone else, oftentimes. Whether you're selling services, whether you're selling products, whether you're selling information, whether you're selling ideas, innovation, whatever it is you're selling, the company is selling something and they are selling it to someone. And as they're selling it to someone, there is an exchange of money. And that's kind of the basic fundamentals, right? So if we take it a step higher, who is that customer and why do they continue to buy what the organization that you're working for is selling? So now the push is, who is the customer and why is it important for you to maintain the role and the work that you do inside your organization in order for your customer to be served? Now, when I say customer, I mean someone outside of the company that you work for, because they're the ones who are spending money with the company. All right, so Leah, what are you talking about? Let's distill it down. There are places in your organization that cost the company money to run. So those places in the organization, I'll give a couple of examples. Functions like human resources, functions like R&D or research and development often cost the company money. because the company has to invest dollars in those part of the organizations in order to get processes, in order to get to a product that is worthwhile to sell to the customer. The places that make companies money oftentimes are in sales centers, service centers, or production operations, manufacturing, places like that. Those parts of the organizations make the company money. So you'll find people who are in those part of the organizations have some really clear intentions about the work that they have to do in order to keep making the company money. I worked in manufacturing for a long time. And after I worked in manufacturing, I moved into supply chain and moved into other parts of organizations. So I want to give an example of how in a specific consumer goods company, how the company made money and how my role specifically, I was evaluating whether or not I was adding value to the organization, because I believe that if you're adding value to the organization and you're sitting in a profit center, you're more likely to have flexibility to take that skill and go elsewhere, because it is a skill that every organization needs. I also believe that in parts of the organization that are cost centers, if you have a good relationship with the profit center in the organization, you're adding value. So if you add value to the profit center, then you have the benefit of knowing where your direct work adds value to. So here's the example. I worked in a factory. And when working in a factory, essentially our job was to take raw materials and convert those raw materials into a product, a finished product that consumers could eat. This was a food company. So my job is to transform it from a raw material into a finished product that consumers could eat. So every single time I had an opening in my organization, in my department as a hiring manager, we were essentially losing an opportunity to add someone into the company. And losing that opportunity meant that other people were working harder. We had to cover other spots. We were using overtime or using other forms of labor in order to cover the important work that needed to be done inside of the factory. So my HR partner and the partner that I had to work with in order to hire people became super critical, because bringing people on, getting them through the process quickly, making sure that they have the right skill set, making sure that we're recruiting in areas that are worthwhile, recruiting in areas that are going to bring us good talent, was so mission critical to me as someone who worked in the profit center of manufacturing, that they became an asset to my organization in such a tangible way. So HR is overhead at the time. They are strictly overhead. They don't make any products. They don't bring any money into the organization. They cost money, but they're valuable to me as someone who brings money into the organization. So now I need that partner. That partner matters because they're adding value to the profit center. So if you sit in a function that is costing the company money, not bringing any money in, you should get really clear on your relationship to the profit centers. How do you add value? How do you bring them? How do you create processes that make their life easier, make their life simpler, that allow them to either save money, allow them to move faster? So when I really think about folks in choosing a career, you should absolutely do what you're good at. You should follow your passions. You should stay connected to things that help you stay engaged in doing the work, but you should be able to speak the language of business. If you're going to work for a for-profit company that is publicly traded or that is privately owned, you have to understand that there is a business decision that's always getting made. There's a business decision made when we're hiring. There's a business decision made when we are letting people go. There's a business decision being made when we're making acquisitions, when we're selling products, when we're selling companies. I'm hearing a lot of people focusing on, here's what I want to do, and here's my desire for my career, but we don't speak the language of business. And then we're confused when decisions are getting made because we don't understand that business decisions are driven by profit and loss, and they're driven by cost centers and profit centers in your organization. So if we can upskill and get a better understanding of first the profit and loss and where your organization is making money, we've talked about that in the last live. If you missed that one, please go and listen to it. Now we're taking that a step further and we're double clicking to say, what does it look like to where do I sit in the organization and how can I learn to speak the language of business so I can translate when I'm hearing my business, my organization, my cost center getting described and what value that cost center may be creating for the company. Because then I can say, how do I contribute to that specifically? Now I can talk about, I contribute to the company in this specific way. This is the way that I'm able to add value. Then I can evaluate, is that important to the company today? If it is, then I'm in a good spot and I can feel like I want to grow and continue to upskill and I want to get more technical skills specifically in my role, but I also want to be able to speak the language of business so that I can translate what I'm hearing, but I can also translate my skills and my value to leaders in the company or to the company at large, whoever is in the organization. So I want to encourage folks to focus less energy on here's what I do and here's what I enjoy, or I want a promotion because, or I shouldn't get let go because, right? It's less about you as an individual in this context and more about what are the business decisions that are happening, that are going on inside of your organization. Do you understand those business decisions? And are you prepared for when the right questions come about your role and your contribution specifically? If you are, I'm going to say that your advantage versus your peers. I'm going to absolutely say that if you're hearing me now and you're saying all of this is foreign, I have no idea, I don't know about the profit and loss, or I don't know as detailed as I could, or I'm not sure where the profit centers are versus costs in the organization. If any of this feels like it is completely foreign to you, you're in the right place because we're breaking it down so that you can have an opportunity to input this information into your future, how you speak about the value you bring to the organization. So that's why we're here. And if you want more and you want to get more specific about your organization or the work that you're doing, please, by all means, reach out to me. I would love to connect with folks who are looking to go deeper into this, because essentially what I wish was happening for folks who are coming into organizations, I wish that people were breaking down kind of corporate business 101 to folks who are outside of finance, folks who are outside of sales, even the folks who are outside of manufacturing, because that business 101 would then help people think, am I adding value to the organization? Unless, do I absolutely love what I'm doing? Or I'm concerned about this. How do I diminish my own concerns? Because as you evaluate the company and you evaluate what they're doing and where their priorities are, you're also evaluating, does this company remain a good fit for me? Does this company, this role, this assignment, does it remain a good fit for me? Does it put me at risk? And I want us to be able to assess that risk for ourselves as individuals, not feel like we have to wait until the company gives us the writing on the wall information in order to make a call. So the more clarity we can get in focusing on our profit and loss and understanding how the company makes money, and then moving that into our roles specifically, how we add value or how we create opportunities for companies to make money by our contributions. Now we're speaking the language of business decisions, and we can then decode and get a better understanding of what's on the horizon. So come back and join us next week. We'll be back talking about this topic, but we're also going to add to and really focus on how do we tie this all together when we're thinking about profit and loss, when we're thinking about where we sit in the organization, when we're thinking about the value that we bring. What does that then open the opportunities up for us? And what opportunities does that open up for us, I should say? And opportunities really start to look like, how do you extract value from the organization based on the value that you're putting in? How do you extract compensation? How do you extract the benefits that come with adding value to an organization? How do you go about doing that in a strategic way? And it only happens when you speak the language of the business. So this has been great. I'm really excited to be able to continue to bring you all this series. I know that it's going to add value. I know that as you think about what the next phase of your career looks like, you're thinking about a broad, upskilling, dynamic, transferable skill career. This will open the opportunities for you to be amazing And it will diminish some of the fear and the concern that I know a lot of folks are having. And I'm seeing it in the DMs, I'm seeing it in the back channels. So the goal of this is to equip you with information that you can then use to build a thriving career and make your journey work for you. So come back and join us next Tuesday. We're every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're focusing specifically on career gems for your journey, gems that you can apply. We're going to make this as digestible and as easy and as broken down as possible so that you can go forward and get into action and you feel equipped to do what feels right for you and not feel on the defensive. I know a lot of people are having some struggles and the job market is difficult and it may continue to be difficult for more years to come. So this is the time to really focus on upskilling and equipping and developing yourself so that your transferable skills create an opportunity and create security for you in the organization you're in now or in wherever you choose to go in the future. So this has been amazing. I appreciate you all riding with me. I look forward to seeing you here next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have not already, please join the Gems for the Journey mailing list. You can find the mailing list at gemsforthejourney.org. We provide a newsletter that goes directly into your inbox, zero effort on your part. Once a month, you get a newsletter with career gems like the ones you heard today and even more. And we've done the work for you, so we want to make sure that you take advantage of it. The list is growing and I'm excited. The feedback has been amazing. So make sure you add yourself to the list so you can be a member of that community and then you can get career gems directly to your inbox. It's been amazing riding with you all. I'll see you next time.